have a guest, but I am going to be walking through exactly what's going on in the industry, and more specifically, one of the new integrations that we built with CrewAI. And we're going to try to dig into the code and actually build it out and see how it goes. So without further ado, let's kind of dive right into it. Again, if you're new here, we do this every week, at least mostly every week on this exact same time. So it's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you are interested in learning about AI agents, blockchain data, anything that is hot in the industry, X402, payments, everything, we cover it here on the show. If you're interested in coming on the show, please drop us a note, send us a DM on X, or reach out, and we would be happy to host you if you have a topic that's interesting. So without further ado, let's dive into it and kind of dive into what we're going to talk about today. So let me go ahead and share my screen, and we will do an entire screen here. And the first thing that I want to talk about is consensus. So, next week is consensus in Miami Beach, and we're going to be having a lot of presence there. We have Rodrigo, our CEO from Edge and Node, is going to be doing a talk at consensus. We also have Edge and Node, Kevin, myself, Kevin Jones, Marcus Rein is going to be there doing DevRel and supporting the graph. So we'll be at the graph booth. We'd love to have you stop by and say hello. It's very exciting. And if you're coming, we would love to chat with you about what you're working on. So check out the website, lots of really cool stuff. And yeah, it's getting started. So make sure you go there. I'm leading a bootcamp series right now that is kind of revolved around mastering AI agents, and more specifically around a framework that I created, which is called Spider. I've talked about it on the past here. The idea is, security, payments, identity, discovery, Ethereum, and runtime. So these ways that you can kind of like follow this framework to build production AI agents. And so I'm organizing this. We have a bunch of sessions lined up. More specifically, if you look here, you'll see that there is a session on May 7th that I'll be doing that specifically goes over ampersend, and we're going to actually build out an AI agent that uses ampersend and in a secure way. Using a starter kit called Scaffold Agent, which is something else that I've built, which is a starter kit for building AI agents, and we're going to kind of do a workshop on that. And then we have a lot of other people coming on from different kind of verticals, talking about all these different stuff that we're talking about, like discovery, ERC 8004, ENS. We have someone coming on from Ethereum. We have hopefully Austin's going to be able to make it. Herman from EVVM. And then we're going to also show off Scaffold Agent, which is a starter kit, and then do a more workshop format where people can follow along and kind of build an agent with us in real time. So please check out that website. It's spideragents.xyz, and make sure that you're subscribing to that. There's a different Luma invite for every single session, so check that out. But today we're going to be talking about the CrewAI integration that we built for ampersend, which is really cool. So if anyone isn't familiar with CrewAI, it's a really good platform for building multi-agent systems. And at ampersend, we're trying to build tooling that makes it easy for agents to be able to pay for services using X402 and more specifically Base. And we've built this entire framework around controlling payment layers and having these guardrails, and then also like auditability and visibility into what's going on. So something like ampersend is a really natural fit because it kind of covers that payments kind of vertical, where we want agents to be able to have a wallet, but we also want to make sure that they're not kind of going off the rails and spending large amounts of money in the middle of the night when you're asleep. So we do that by creating these kind of like different integrations. So right now, this is on the blog website. So if you go to ampersend.ai/blog, and you can see all the blogs, and we have one here that is written by Marcus. Marcus also built the starter kit for this, and it kind of walks through exactly what it is in very, very short amount of code. And so we're going to try it out now, and we're going to see how it works. So again, this is a tool that kind of wraps the HTTP call that ampersend provides for the payment inside of ampersend. And in this demo, it's a very basic one. It's just like a joke endpoint that we're going to query, but it could be any X402 enabled endpoint. So if you find an endpoint on ERC 8004 scan, or in the bazaar on Coinbase Bazaar, or in X402 scan or something like that, you could easily point to this kind of example at that and show how one agent can talk to another agent, pay for whatever it needs without using any API key, no authentication, no billing, no credit cards, just pure crypto transactions using a wallet. So to do this, it recommends to use Claude Code. I think we could probably use Cursor or any kind of like IDE, I think. It's also going to recommend using UV Package Manager, which I think we should have already installed. And then you need an ampersend agent that has a funded wallet. So we'll go through and create that as well. So what it's having us do is go ahead and clone the repo. So we can go ahead and do that here. Let's get a new terminal up here. And we'll go ahead and clone this ampersend CrewAI demo. And we're doing this all real time too. I did not have a chance to go through this, so hopefully this is very seamless. And if not, we're going to use AI to fix it. So luckily we have AI tools, we can do this very easily. So we're going to go into that folder, then we're going to run UV sync. So UV is kind of like a package manager. If you've ever used Yarn or if you've used NPM, it's a very similar thing, but it's more for Python. We're going to do UV sync, and it's going to go out and fetch all the packages it needs, right? And install those kind of dependencies and give us back all the stuff that it did, which is a lot of stuff, but that was pretty fast. And then it's going to come with this kind of example env file, right? So we can copy the example to a new one, and then we can load up that project here. Let's load it up in Cursor. You could do this with Claude Code as well. I personally just like to use Cursor. It's kind of been my go-to. I guess I'm kind of old school, but we're going to use that. And then it wants us to run it with this. But first, let's take a look at the env file. Okay, so we do get this kind of env example, which gives us, it wants the smart account address, and it wants a private key, and then it wants the API URL. So we're going to be using production for this. So we need to go to ampersend.ai and sign in, right? So we're going to load up a new tab here and go to ampersend.ai, and we're going to launch the console. Now, this is going to basically take us to the ampersend login. And I've already logged in. If you weren't logged in, you would basically be prompted with a sign in button. You'd click that, put in your email address, and that will basically send you an email, put in the code, and then you'll be logged in. You get this kind of dashboard. Now mine has some data, so you can kind of see here that I've done some spend, and I've also earned, right? So this is kind of like a high level overview of like everything that you've been doing with your AI agent. But for this, we want to get a new smart account address. So ampersend uses smart accounts, and these are smart accounts that have value that you can put into them. And ampersend provides the ability to automatically top up that value of that address. And then you create what's called a signing key or a session key. And this is the key that's used to sign transactions. And in the middle, we have this kind of API. So you can think of this API as where the guardrails are, right? This is where we are, making sure that spending is kind of enforced using this API, okay? So what we need to do is we need to come to agents, and we need to create a new agent. And we'll call it whatever we want. So we'll do this one, we'll call it CrewAI example. And we can configure spending, and we can configure earning. So the difference is that for spending, this is how much money you want to put into the wallet automatically. And so I think this will do it kind of like every day, I believe. Yeah, so it'll kind of top it up and make sure that it always has that kind of like daily spending limit. And so you can make this whatever you want. For demos, I usually like to keep it pretty low because we're not going to be spending a lot of money. So I'm just going to put like 10 cents in there. Obviously in a production, setting, you probably would do more. You can also do like a monthly limit or per transaction limit. So you really have a lot of control there. And then for earnings, if you want to automatically collect the earnings from a wallet and put it to another address, you can either sweep it to your kind of like primary wallet. So here we have up in the top right corner, this kind of like main wallet. It's an embedded wallet that stores the primary funds that you're using to fund the smart accounts. But we're not going to mess with this anyways, so I'm just going to turn this off for right now. We're going to use this to fund that, and we're going to go ahead and hit create. Now, this is going to basically create, again, a smart account for you, and then it's going to ask you if you want to set it up now or later. Now, the reason why we might want to set it up now is if we're using like some kind of different SDK, right? So we have an example in here with CrewAI, OpenAI, Vercel, whatever it is that you want to use. So if you're following along on this, then you would probably look and see what CrewAI is doing. And we're going to be paying for services, paying for services with CrewAI. So we can choose that. And it wants us to create the key name. So we'll call it CrewAI and hit create. And it's going to give us the secret, right? So normally you would not show this on the screen, but it's a demo and it's only 10 cents. So if someone beats me to my 10 cents, then kudos to you. But we get this key back, okay? And then we're going to use that key in the environment variable, okay? It also gives us the code that we might need if we were building our application from hand. But nicely of Marcus, he created this starter kit as a really good example. And so we can just hit done and we can go back. Now we have this example env. We won't save that. We already copied this one here. So we can just paste that private key right in here, okay? And then we need to get the public address of the smart account. And that is right here at the top. So we can just copy it. It's right by the CrewAI example and paste that here and then save. Okay, so we have the env file saved. That's pretty much it. So all we need to do now is go back to the blog and see exactly what it needs to run it. So we actually don't even need our editor. We can just kind of like do it here. So this is going to run the Python application, which is crew.py. Let's actually look at it first so we can see what it's doing. It's always good to know what the code's doing before you actually execute it. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a client here. It's going to use the ampersend HTTP client, which is going to, again, make sure that we're passing in the private key, the public key of the smart account, the signing key, and the public key of the smart account, the API URL. If it doesn't have it, it defaults to production. And then it kind of comes back from a response. And this is a service that we're running like locally to kind of test X402. So all these payments actually just go back to us. So, depending on what you're using, yeah. So it's very basic. It's not really a research assistant. It's more of a joke provider, but it's looking up. So this could probably be changed a little bit, but these are just kind of like a service that allows you to get a joke. So get a joke and present it in a funny way. A joke with a setup and a punchline. Okay, so very simple. And we just basically run that task. So what this is going to do is should just give us a joke. And it's going to pay for it with ampersand. Give it a second here. Let's hope it works. And if not, we'll troubleshoot it. There it goes. So it looks like it will be, that's interesting. It's a little slow. Oh, we got an error. Okay, so let's try to figure out what this error is. So we're gonna kind of zoom out a little bit. Okay, so we also need an open API key. Okay, so that is not defined here. So what we'll do is just double check. Did it actually say where to put the API key? Well, let's try one open API key. So we'll need to get that. So let's go into here, env example, open API key. And then we'll need to get one of those keys. So what we'll do here is we'll change the sharing just for a second. And let's go get an open API key. So if you don't familiar with open API key is basically what you're using for the LLM interference. So we're going to go here and log in and get that. You guys can't see my screen, but we're going to get that. See here, sign up for open API key. And we'll sign in with Google. I should already have a key actually here that I can use. Okay, so yep, I have a bunch of open ones. So let me create one real quick. Call this CrewAI. So you can just go to platform.openai.com and then go on the left and it'll be on the bottom. It says Open API Keys, and we'll create this secret key, copy it to the clipboard, and we'll paste that in. And this is a more secret thing, so that's why it's tied to my billing. So that's why I'm not showing my screen, but that's okay. Let's go back and share now. And let's see if that works. Okay, we're back. Okay, so we have this here. Let's try to run it one more time. That's interesting. So it's still saying open API key required. Let's try to give this to AI and see if it can figure out why. So we say, okay, here, my open API key is, oh, I put it in the example. Okay, let me fix that here. Let me go one more time and disconnect. That's funny. Hide and stop for a second. So make sure you put it in the actual env file because that would make a difference. And we'll have that as a available thing. I guess it's just wasn't in the docs. So let's save that, close that. Okay, I just moved that to the proper one. Let me share again. Okay, share, boom. Okay, so now let's try it one more time. So this should go out and get a joke. Let's hope it works. All right, there it goes. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. That's a really good one. Would you like to view your execution traces? Sure, I don't even know what that does. Your execution traces were done locally. We couldn't upload them to the server right now, but the tracing has been enabled. Okay, interesting. Okay, but it looks like it worked. So we were able to get a joke. So if you've used CrewAI, you have this concept of like multi-agent systems, and you might run like a bunch of different things. So we're just doing a very basic kind of implementation. We might fork this to like have a more multi-agent kind of story. Maybe where like one agent is selling access to the jokes and like another agent is getting like querying and actually getting the jokes or something like that. Obviously you would do something probably more feasible in production, but it did work. So all we needed to do was add that API key and then we were able to, yeah, work it. Okay, so yeah, so really quickly, we can come back to CrewAI. We can go to our agents, and you can see we have lots of different agents here that I've created, but here we have the CrewAI example, which was just right here. And then we have this authorized transaction. And it looks to me like maybe it didn't actually pay for the thing, or maybe it's just still waiting for the data to come through. But we can actually look and see. Let's look at this up on base scan real quick. So we'll go to base scan. Let's paste it here. Let's see if we get any transfers. So this was the 10 cents initial transaction. Looks like it didn't actually make the payment. So let's debug it. Let's try to figure out why it didn't make the payment. I don't see a payment on base scan for this. And we can also just paste this here and see if we ran this demo, and it should have used ampersand. Okay, so yeah, while that's doing that, I'll come back to that in a second. But we have like some other stuff we can kind of view in here. Like we can see like all of our transactions that we've ever made. Oh yeah, see, it did say 1 cent right there. Oh, it should be there. Let's go back to agents real quick. Huh, transactions. Unless maybe it failed. That could be possible. Something happened with the smart account. Well, we'll go back to the AI and see. We also have like some analytics here where we can see like over a certain amount of time, like how much traffic we're kind of like getting. So here we have spending versus earning with this kind of nice little graphic, which is really useful, and what our margin is. So we've lost 20% of our value inside of our smart accounts. What our top earning agent is, right? So we have a block run agent there. We have the marketplace, which is like, I think discovering stuff in like ERC 8004. So if you're looking for like an agent to talk to, you might come in here and look for these kind of like agents and like filter based on whatever you need. We have like a different getting started page for like configuring each agent that maybe you've configured and properly setting them up. We also support teams to be able to, or we're going to be adding it soon, to be able to like have a teammate where you can like work on the same agent together. And then again, yeah, we have this overview screen. So let's see if we can figure out what happened here. Okay. So it seems like what happened is the LLM was probably configured to, if it didn't execute the 402 transaction, it just used the open API key to make a joke. So this actually didn't go through the service. So we're going to try to rerun this. Actually, it's doing it for us. All right, let's see if that one actually worked. looks like this one. Okay, so something's wrong with the response body. So the ampersand X402 middleware is not intercepting the 402 and handling the payment. So let's see if we can figure it out. So we're using, so if anyone's new to like building with AI, Cursor is really nice for this. We have this ability to choose our model down here. So if you use Cursor, you get this kind of like auto mode, which is sometimes using like older models. Always make sure you're using a newer model. I use Opus 4.6, which is pretty good. It's a little more expensive, but 4.7 is like the newest model, and that's kind of like the best one you can use. But 4.6 is pretty good. And I think the difference between 4.6 and 4.7 is not enough. Okay, so it's trying to debug the treasurer. And so we'll try to work through this in a second. So if you're starting out with ampersend, you can go to docs.ampersend.ai, and we have kind of like a quick start that kind of explains about the different SDKs. So there's two SDKs. We have the Python SDK, which is what we're using now. But let's say you're using TypeScript. We also support TypeScript as well. This one kind of goes through all the Python stuff, and then where is the TypeScript SDK actually? I think if we just like see our platform quick start. This kind of walks into the platform, how you like log in, add funds, stuff like that. We also have this kind of like core concept. So if this is all like Greek to you and you don't quite kind of understand what X402 is, we kind of lay it out for you and explain that for you. We talk about the deferred payment scheme, which is something that we're working on and contributing back to the spec. Everything we do is the exact scheme right now, but in the future, maybe you might want to do very micro payments. And so this kind of chats about that. This kind of talks a little bit about our ERC 8004 integration and kind of how you use 8004 for your agents. Our SDK overview here. Okay, yeah, so this is where it talks about the different SDKs that are available, like what SDK it looks like, some of the primitives, how the flows work, understanding between a buyer and a seller. And I think one of the most things that's always kind of hard to wrap your head around is the treasurer. So we use this thing called the X402 treasurer. And if you want to get these kind of guardrails, you need to use the ampersand treasurer. For testing, you can use the naive treasurer, which will just automatically make payments and not use ampersand. But if you want to get those kind of guardrails, then you need to make sure you're using the ampersand treasurer. Okay, it's still troubleshooting, so we'll let it go. Then there's some like walkthroughs of the platform as well. So like, yeah, how you kind of like browse through Discover agents, our deployment URLs. This also supports base Sepolia. So if you want to test on base Sepolia and not use production, you can. Lately, I've just been testing on base mainnet because it's just easier and it's so cheap. The gas is so cheap, so it's fine to do. Walks you through how to create an agent, how to configure the agent, how to manage the agent after you've already kind of gone through and created that, kind of seeing what the different options are and whatnot. And then the SDK integration, the things that you're going to basically need. And then we have this integration page. We're going to be growing this out right now. Right now, there's only OpenClaw listed here, but there's actually a bunch of integrations. So if you go to github.com/edge-and-node, and you go to repositories, and if you just search ampersand, you'll find there's a bunch of them. There is an integration with Hermes that I wrote, which basically lets you spin up a Hermes agent, which is kind of like a competitor to OpenClaw. It uses like Dockerized environments for agents. We also have a NemoClaw example, which is like integrating with, it's basically an OpenClaw, but forked specifically for NVIDIA, and it's a little more secure than OpenClaw. We also have the OpenClaw version, and we also have the Pinata version as well. So if you go to Pinata Cloud, and let's say you want to build an OpenClaw agent, you don't want to have to like spin it up yourself. You can come in here, sign in, and you can come to Pinata Agents, and you'll be able to find the ampersand agent here as well. So a little slow, there it is. So all you have to do is say create agent, and you can do custom, browse templates. And then you'll be able to search for the ampersand one here. As you can see, they have a lot of them, and the ampersand is right there. Yeah, so there's a bunch of integrations that you can use this for. We also have the, oh, this is the NemoClaw one. There's a NemoClaw gist, and I'm not sure what that one is, but make sure you use this ampersand NemoClaw. And then we also have an integration with block run, which is for LLM inference. So if you want to like route your agent's traffic through block run and pay for your LLM, your agent's LLM with X402, then this is also a really good starting point for that. Okay, let's see what it's doing. Looks like it's writing out the entire flow. Again, interesting. Could be a version issue with the SDK. Let's see here. Okay. Yeah, so I think initially it was using the AI to get the joke, and so we weren't actually using the X402 endpoint. So yeah, let's see. Okay, it worked this time. Okay, let's do it over here real quick. This is how you code with AI. You fix things live in production. Okay, so here we go. We have, wow, cool, the whole trace here. All right, let's see what happens here. So we get the research assistant, use the get joke. The crew execution started. We get the joke. The research assistant says, sure, let me get the joke. Here we have the response that comes back, and it looks like it completed, but I don't see the X402. What did the X402 header say to the server? Payment required, no free lunch. That's really funny. It even did a X402 branded joke. Okay, let's see and make sure that it's actually doing it properly, and let's make sure we see that transaction in ampersand. Okay, so let's go back to ampersand. Let's go to overview, agents, and CrewAI example. There we go. Now we're seeing some transactions. So we're seeing a lot of like authorized transactions. We see some failed ones too, which is quite interesting. Did I run out of funds? Let's see, how much funds does it have? No, it's got, yeah, it's doing fractions of a cent. So the data has not showed up though yet. These look like authorized and not actually settled. So it could be that the what's going on here is we're not actually, so with X402, the way it works is you have a server or whatever, and you have this 402 response code that comes back. And inside the response code is all the details of what you need to pay in order to get access to the resource. You need to sign that and do that off, like off on your agent or wherever you're doing it, send it back with as this kind of like payment field, and then it needs to be like validated on chain. So it could be that maybe we're not actually verifying that, but it does look like the payments are actually going through. So I'm not sure. Maybe we can look at base scan again. Let's take a refresh here and look at internal transactions, token transfers. Okay. So yeah, we are doing some transfers. So these are the jokes. Let me do one more and just make sure. Okay, run the joke and refresh. And let's look here. Get another authorized. We should see those. Yep, there it goes. Okay, so we're paying a tenth of a penny for the joke 13 seconds ago. So there we go, it's working. So now what we'll do is we'll file a PR for this. Let's submit a PR to fix this. Okay, so yeah, so in this demo, we basically, forked that kind of repo. By the time you guys are doing this demo yourself, this should all be fixed. But we were able to like fix that problem pretty easily. We could also look and see exactly what it did, but it looks like it kind of set up the proper V2 requirements. And it kind of added some additional kind of maybe rules here for CrewAI. And we had this kind of like verbose true. We changed the goal and the backstory. So yeah, I think it was just this stuff here where we needed to make sure that the X402 payment goes through using the SDK. So looks like it worked. Okay. Yeah, let's see if the PR is done. Oh, it's still fixing something. That's interesting. Let me run the script after it's done, actually, just to make sure. Oh, because in this example, there is a TypeScript equivalent. That's weird. Oh, it wants to know if there is. No. So it's adding a test. It's doing its prudence to make sure that the PR is easily testable, which is really cool. So we have the SDK. All right. Bug is Python only. That's good. And there it goes. Now it's running the tests to make sure the test pass. Cool. All right. Well, that should finish up here soon. Let me go ahead and stop the sharing here. Okay, cool. All right. So thank you so much for joining this week. We talked about the CrewAI example. If you're building with CrewAI and you want to enable payments for your agents, check out that repo. Again, we'll have it kind of patched and ready to go. And if you guys have any questions about ampersend, we do have a Telegram chat. We'll go ahead and post that in the comment for this live stream. These live streams are available for replay on the X account. If you go to EdgeNode, on ampersend AI GitHub, or sorry, ampersend AI X account, and you go to the timeline, you should see this live stream. But we also live stream these to YouTube. So there's a playlist of all the previous ones that we've done. We've had a lot of really good speakers on here, and we plan to have a lot more. So subscribe there if you're into YouTube. Make sure that you follow the EdgeNode and the ampersend AI X account, and make sure you have notifications on so that you get notified when we do these live streams. And yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And I hope you found this useful and see how I built on CrewAI and solve some issues using Cursor, using AI. So thanks so much, and we'll catch you guys next time.